Controversial Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe hurled repeated criticisms at Western leaders during his address to the United Nations General Assembly on Thursday. Mr. Mugabe blasted NATO for air raids in support of Libya's opposition as murderous bombings that intentionally target Libyan towns. Mugabe also expressed doubt that the NATO-supported ouster of former Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi would help enhance democracy, saying that Libya's Transitional National Council was illegally imposed on the country by foreign leaders. In addition, Mr. Mugabe criticized the International Criminal Court for its tendency to focus on African countries. Mugabe has ruled Zimbabwe since its independence in 1980. Joining us now from the United Nations is VOA UN correspondent Margaret Besheer. Margaret, thank you for joining us again today.
My pleasure.
We want to move on to the Palestinian issue first, where the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas announced his intention for a Palestinian state. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's really the main event here at the UN General Assembly this week. It's really overshadowed everything else that's happening. Last week, President Abbas said that he would come here this week and demand full membership for the Palestinians at the United Nations. And right now they have what's called observer status as an entity, not as a state. And so they would like to become a full member, just like the 193 other countries at the UN. But there's a lot of problems involved with this. There's been a flurry of diplomacy this week, which seems to be breaking down a bit this morning. The United States is not happy about this move. Israel is not happy about this move. So, but Mr. Abbas is expected to say again that he will ask for full membership, and then he will present the application for membership to the Secretary General of the United Nations sometime after his speech today. That's what's expected.
Now, moving on to other issues, today's discussion on the Somali political situation.
Yep, there's going to be a meeting this afternoon on Somalia, on the political situation there, basically to build momentum after the signing of the roadmap. And the roadmap, it lays out priority measures to be implemented before the current governing arrangements end next August. So the participants at this meeting will be asked to endorse the roadmap, to express their support for AMISOM, the African Union mission in Somalia, and also for the Mogadishu, I believe it's called the Mogadishu Recovery and Stabilization Plan, which includes an increased presence for the United Nations in Somalia. And this meeting was called for by Italy, Uganda, and Britain, and it will have a lot of different players, including regional players and world powers.
And also it will be a big day for a new country and also a new member of the UN. The South Sudan, its President Salva Kiir will be speaking today.
That's right. Salva Kiir will take the podium, I think in about an hour or so. And I think a lot of leaders will be interested to hear what he has to say. And we'll hear if he mentions the violence that's been going on and the issues that still need to be resolved between South Sudan and Sudan.
And
so an exciting day here at the UN.
Absolutely. In just a few seconds, if you could just give us an update of what's going on tomorrow, especially as regards to the Horn of Africa famine.
Right. There's going to be a mini summit on the famine tomorrow. They've scheduled about 6 hours for it, which is a huge meeting here at the United Nations this week. And there will be I will tell you, the Secretary General is hosting it with his humanitarian chief, and they're going to have the President of Djibouti, the Prime Ministers of Kenya and Somalia, and the Deputy Prime Minister, of Ethiopia. And there'll basically be a brainstorming session on what they can do to improve the humanitarian response to this crisis, which, as we know, is affecting millions in the Horn of Africa.
Margaret, thank you so much for that update. That's Margaret Besheer, who's joining us from the United Nations headquarters in New York.
For more information on any of today's stories, please visit us online at voaafrica.com. You can also visit us on Facebook. Just search for In Focus.